Hey everyone, Cody from Mac Telecom Networks. I get a lot of emails about what equipment to buy. Either they're building out a new house or a new office and they just don't know where to start. We're going to take a look at a couple free tools that Ubiquiti provides, which will help us guide towards which gear we need. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. Make sure to hit the bell icon. If you'd like to hire me for network consulting, visit www.mactelecomnetworks.com. You'd find me on Twitter at MacTelecomN. And if you'd like to support the channel, we do now have Ubiquiti affiliate links, and I'll put it down in the description below. The first free tool that we're going to talk about is the Unifi Design Center. This will help decide how many access points or cameras you need in your home or office. And it could also show you some cable paths, but I don't really use that function. To get started in the Unifi Design Center, we need to add a floor plan. So you either need a floor plan of your home or office. You could also draw one in here if you know the dimensions. So I'm going to go to the right hand corner and hit this drop down, and then we're going to add a new project. We need to specify a project name. I'll just say YouTube, and then the building location. I'll say Toronto. Next, we need to have a product preference. So we could either have a value or performance. We're going to say performance for this, and we're going to say it's for a home. And the house is between 2,000 and 5,000 square feet with 100 to 300 users, and we'll press next. Now it's asking us which solution we want to use. So wired and Wi-Fi network management we'll want, as well as camera surveillance. If you're using Unifi Access or Unifi Talk, you could check those off as well. Now we're at the main page where we need to either add a floor plan or we could try a sample floor plan. I'm going to add a floor plan. We need to give the floor plan a name, and I'll call it YouTube. Now you could either upload a floor plan or you could use a drawing tool to draw your own. I'm going to upload a floor plan. This floor plan is just one that I found off of the internet, and then we'll press create. Now we have the floor plan in our Unifi Design Center. We need to add a few things. So we have a ceiling height, and then we have a floor plan scale. I'm going to set the ceiling height. Most typical houses are about 8-foot ceilings, and we'll press save. And then we need to set the floor plan scale. So we click set, and then we just click on the screen and then drag all the way over. I'm just going to say that this is about 50 feet. I don't know the actual distance, but on your floor plans, you should have foot markers and be able to tell from there. So I'll say 50 feet, and then we'll press save. So we've now set the ceiling height and we've set the floor plan scale. What we need to do now is add different wall materials. On the outside of the house, we're going to assume that it's brick. Most houses in Canada are brick, and we'll have a few windows. On the inside of our house, it will just be light material like drywall. So we're going to click on this outer, which is for brick, concrete, and other heavy materials. And then we're going to just select the walls that we think will have the brick or heavy material. Now the outside of the house is done, we need to do the windows and then the inside of the house. I'm going to get that done, and then we'll be right back. Now we have the walls up and all the windows up. We could start placing our devices. So if we go back up to this tab in the left-hand corner, we can see we have devices. So we have routing, switching, access points, cameras, and then we have access for Unifi Access, VoIP, and Connect. We also have different type of connections: wireless cables, cable routes, racks, accessories, wall sockets, and workspace. I'm not going to worry about that for this video. What we're really going to look at is our Wi-Fi coverage and our camera coverage. So I'm going to click on access points, and we're going to say that this homeowner wants the latest and greatest access points. So we're going to go with the U6 Pro. You would see that there's a bunch of different access points listed. This is in the performance section, but we also could go to value section if we'd like. So I'm going to click on the access point Wi-Fi 6 Pro. Now we could kind of determine where we would like to place this. We know that the dining room, the kitchen, and the living space is pretty open. I would most likely put this in the center of the room. So we have one access point in the room now. We could go down to the bottom right-hand corner, and then we could see coverage. So we could look at our 2.4, our 5 gigahertz, or our camera coverage. Let's take a look at the 2.4. With the 2.4 coverage, we could see this main area is really great. And at the bottom, we could see what the colors represent. So red means minus 46 dBm. And then if we go all the way to the weekend, minus 76, that's the purple color. We'd see in the master bedroom and the bedroom that we're getting minus 60 dBm, which is still a really good signal, but we may want to add one more access point. So all I'm going to do is hit the U6, and then we're going to copy the device, and then I'm going to place another one in the master suite. And now we can see the master suite has really great coverage as well as all the bedrooms. That's for the 2.4 gigahertz. Let's look at the 5 gigahertz. So with the 5 gigahertz and this house being fairly small, we could still see that we have great coverage. So really, this house would only need 2 access points. Now let's say that this homeowner wants coverage of every angle with their camera. We could start mounting some cameras to the outside of their house. We're going to use G4 bullet cameras for this video. So we go back up top here and then we'll scroll down to cameras. We can see under performance, there's a bunch of higher end cameras, but we want to go to the value. So the value will have the camera G4 bullet. Now we could just start placing the cameras on the outside of the house. So I have cameras on every corner of this house, and we could see that there's this blue icon that it's turning to the right hand side. That's the direction that the camera would be pointed. So we're obviously going to want this one not pointing in towards the wall. So we'll turn it a little bit out, and we'll do the same for the rest of them. And for the front door of the house, we'll add a G4 doorbell. So to me, the angles look good, but let's take a look at the coverage map. So we'll click on the icon down in the right hand corner, and then we'll go to coverage and click on camera. Now we can see we're pretty well covered everywhere. On this right hand side, there's a bit of a dead zone as well as the bottom left hand corner, but we could move the camera position around if we'd like to cover more of the area. The Unifi Design Center is one of the tools that I use the most. It is a great baseline when I'm planning any one of my jobs. But obviously going to site and seeing what materials we'll be working with beats using the Unifi Design Center. But this helps out with the initial estimation and seeing what equipment we will need. The next new great tool by Ubiquiti is the resource calculator. So this will help you decide which Unifi console you need. So if we look back at our Unifi Design Center, we could see that we have 9 cameras and 2 access points. So we need to pick the right console for that. The Dream Machine, the Dream Router, those won't cut it for us, but the UDM Pro or the UDM SE would. We're going to say that this homeowner wants to have IDS, IPS turned on high, as well as the ability to use a VPN. We're going to select our network access points, which is 2, and then we'll check off Protect, and we're using 9 HD cameras. As I bring the cameras or access points up, we can see the CPU load and the memory usage going up as well. We need to go down to the bottom and check off VPN and then our threat management. Threat management sensitivity is only on medium. We're going to push it to high. We can see that our CPU load is at 51.33% and our memory usage is at 48.22%. So that leaves us some expansion to grow. One thing the resource calculator leaves out though is switches. I don't see anywhere where we could add how many switches we're going to need for these deployments. I would assume that it would use more CPU load the more switches that we add on. If you need a whole whack load of access points over 50 APs, we could always use their cloud console as well. So the cloud console will allow us to have up to 500 access points. And the firewall and router for a deployment like this that we'd probably be using is the UXG Pro. One other tool that I use quite a bit when I'm trying to plan how long I want the video surveillance footage to last for is just directly from their webpage. If we go over to Protect and then MVR, we need to select which MVR we want, the base UNVR or the UNVR Pro. I've just selected the UNVR and then we could scroll down. Currently, all their hard drives are sold out, so it's going to show you in this gray area, but we could still see the storage capacity that we would need. And for this deployment, we are using 9 cameras. We are using 8 G4 bullets and 1 doorbell camera. We're going to select 8 HD cameras. And the UNVR model has 4 drive bays. If we only populate 1 drive bay with an 8 terabyte hard drive, we'll have 28 days of recording, but there will be no backups. If we add a second hard drive, it's just going to be in RAID 1 mirroring, so we have the same amount of days. If we add a third 8 terabyte hard drive, we get 1 month and 27 days. And if we add a fourth, we get 2 months and 26 days. This is another great free tool if you want to calculate your storage capacity. Now there's a few factors when choosing a switch. Do you want 10 gig uplinks to your UDM Pro or whatever you're using as a firewall or router? Or do you just want those 1 gig uplinks? We also need to take into consideration power consumption. So going based off of this floor plan, we have 8 cameras that would be requiring PoE, as the doorbell just goes off of a transformer. The U6 Pros, they also use PoE. So if we take a look under the specs of the cameras, we were going with the G4 bullet. We want to look down at the max power consumption. So the max power consumption is 4 watts. And for the U6 Pros, it's 13 watts. So that gives us a total power consumption of 58 watts. So with 58 watt power consumption, we could go with the Switch 24 PoE. We could see here that we have a 95 watt total PoE supply. But But if you ever think that you may expand, you might want to have a bigger power supply. And that's when we would go with something like the Switch 24 Pro PoE. The Switch Pro 24 PoE has a 400 watt total PoE supply. It also has those PoE++ ports. So if you need to use Unifi access, this would be the switch for you. And those are the main tools that I use when I'm pre-planning a Ubiquiti deployment for a customer. So I hope this helps some people out, as I do get a lot of emails about it. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. If you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell icon. All right, thanks.